Welcome back, guys, to Phoenix Wright Dual Destinies, as now the action moves to a courtroom of a hostage situation, having started a special trial. Not official, but you know how official can the truth really end up being. Very official indeed, as Edgeworth is on the other side of the bench, ready to fight against us to find that truth. However, our defendant thinks she may have killed her mother, and signs point towards it, as only having seen them once before. Black Psyche-locks have appeared on Miss Cykes. With that, we move forward. I did a little research. I looked into those special Psyche-locks you mentioned, Mr. Nick. You did? That's great. I really appreciate it. A red Psyche-lock protects a secret a person is consciously trying to hide. If the person falls under questioning, the lock breaks and the truth comes out. Yep, that's exactly how I got the truth out of Detective Fulbright and Director Cosmos. But a black Psyche-lock protects a secret from the deepest place in a person's heart. A secret that that person isn't even consciously aware of. So even they don't know it's there? Athena isn't trying to keep anything from you on purpose. For some reason, part of her heart and her memories are sealed off, even from herself. Okay, so all I have to do is break the Psyche-locks. According to my research, a black Psyche-lock is like a heavy chain wrapped directly around one's heart. If they are ripped off by force, it could cause permanent damage to a person's soul. In other words, if I'm not careful, I could traumatize Athena for good. Pearls, could you stay by Athena's side? She must be suffering under the weight of such a heavy burden. Alright, but will you be alright by yourself, Mr. Nick? I'm up against Edgeworth. I have to be able to give this trial all of my focus and strength. And you can't do that if I'm there. I'll just hold you back. No, that's not it. I just meant I can relax and concentrate if I knew you were with Athena. You're the only one who can do it, Pearls. Alright, I'll do it then. Good luck, Mr. Nick. Good. Now that my mind is at ease, I'd better get ready. I'll just tidy up the evidence and take out what I don't need. It's time to end this nightmare that started 7 years ago. So what am I getting rid of? We're not going to have much evidence going into this. But considering it's so late of the day, is this a trial of one part or a trial of two? Because there's more than one trial that's going on here. As we enter courtroom number 4. Defense, prosecution and judge. There are even people in the gallery. The roof has been completely blown off and the walls have collapsed. But today, this ruin is my battleground. Day 1, court is now in session.
Court, or some facsimile thereof, is now in session for the trial of Athena Cykes.
Not a facsimile, old man. This is a proper official trial. Take this more seriously or you'll start hearing the bones of the hostages snap. Please try not to upset Miss Blackquill. I'm begging you.
A court is now in session for the very serious and very proper trial of Athena Cykes.
This is no trial. This is nothing more than a ridiculous farce. What did you say? Edgeworth? Did you not hear what I just said to His Honor? However, this ridiculous farce has a very important meaning for our legal system. Recall the case of the UR1 incident in which a prosecutor was found guilty of murder. That case ushered in the odious, dark age of the law. I see what you're after. If we can find the real truth behind that case today. Precisely. The darkness will be dispelled, and glory shall be restored to the court system.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, you sound as if you know something of this truth.
I do indeed. A new suspect has emerged in the UR1 case. For 7 years, Simon Blackquill has refused to speak in order to cover for someone else. Brace yourself, Phoenix. Here it comes. I'm sorry, right? But the situation is what it is, and I must do what I must. The prosecution moves to indict Athena Cykes on the count of murder in the first degree.
Regardless the circumstance, I intend to question the defendant with all I have. For that, is a part of my creed.
Then you better bring it.
If the two of you are ready. Court is now in session for the trial of Athena Cykes.
Your Honor, the defense was born ready.
The prosecution is also ready.
Born ready, you say? Well, I'm glad you've got the confidence. There's immense tension between us. It's like we're picking up right where we left off. It's my duty to clear Prosecutor Blackquill of false accusations and end this insanity. But I have no intention of losing Miss Cykes either. She's a very promising young lawyer. I never had a doubt that Athena is innocent. But I don't think Prosecutor Blackquill did either. So, do you have any clue who was responsible for the sabotage?
At the very least, I know it wasn't Simon Blackquill. I don't know enough to identify the true culprit, but it's clear what that person is. To put it simply, a spy.
The true culprit is a spy. It's going to be hard to convince anyone of that when I barely believe it myself. But I don't have a choice if I want to save Athena and Blackquill and expose the spy.
And now then, Chief Prosecutor Edgeworth.
No need for the Chief Prosecutor bits, Your Honor. I'm here as a simple prosecutor.
Very well. Your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Although I've been known of late to give an impressive opening statement myself.
In all the trials I've ever seen, only the prosecution gives an opening statement.
Oh, of course, you're right. I was just joking. Just having a little fun.
So he wasn't doing them just out of fear. Interesting. Let's start with a brief overview of the UR1 incident. The incident occurred at the Cosmos Space Center 7 years ago on October 7th. The victim, psychologist Metis Cykes, was killed in the robotics lab on the 4th floor. Athena's mother. Simon Blackquill, a young prosecutor at the time, was found guilty of the crime. There were two deciding factors that led to his guilty verdict. One, Blackquill was the only person in the corridor to the lab at the time of the murder. And two, this photo, which captured the moment of the crime.
Very incriminating evidence indeed. It would appear that the only conclusion is that Prosecutor Blackquill did indeed.
Are you kidding me? I'm not accepting any conclusion of the kind. This opening statement is over. Now, hurry up and call the witness.
Excuse me, Miss Blackquill, but we must follow proper procedure for these things, you know.
Or perhaps we should heed her wishes, Your Honor. She is the trial's sponsor, after all. Besides, the courtroom is chilly, and sitting for too long can be good for your back.
Oh, you're very kind to show such concern for the welfare of the elderly.
As skilled as ever at playing the court puppeteer, I see. The prosecution calls its first witness. A witness who decided to bring forth new testimony after 7 long years. New testimony? And just who is this witness anyway? Okay. Bobby Fulbright's the name! In justice we trust! What are you doing here? I'm just here to speak for the hostage taker, Miss Aura Blackquill. She says she's too busy, what with confining and threatening the hostages and all that. That doesn't seem to stop her from constantly chiming in through Clonko.
I'm nothing more than an observer in this. Do your best. I'm watching you.
Believing her brother innocent, Miss Blackquill has been conducting her own investigation. And through her current actions are highly lawful, I think we can at least hear her theory. I have here Miss Blackquill's notes on the investigation she conducted. And I'll be giving testimony based on these notes. Here I go! Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone. Someone else was at the scene at the time they say Simon committed the murder. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case? Rolling case? Because he was using it to hide someone inside. That's why. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Cykes. Okay. There's quite a lot of weirdness in the latter players. And that's Miss Blackwell's theory. It totally goes in the face of the official ruling her. How about the case she mentions? There are other rolling cases like that one in the lab. But they're not for travelling. They're apparently for moving parts and equipment. I vaguely remember seeing 3 cases, all different sizes. At the last trial, they thought that Prosecutor Blackquill used the case to steal the rock. And they had a perfectly good reason to think that too. You see, there's a security camera in the corridor that leads to the robotics lab. And that camera captured footage of Blackquill leaving the scene with the case. I can see why that footage helped to bring his trial to a quick end. It's very convincing, that's for sure. So the 7-year-old video has been updated in our court record. Blackquill was the only one to pass through the time of the crime still, showing the corridor to the crime scene. What's been updated about it, so to say? Just an extra bit of it? That case, by the way, was later discovered outside on the Space Center grounds. Speaking of after the incident, where was the defendant Athena Cykes found? She was found on the 5th floor of the Space Center in the Cykes family residence. Prosecutor Blackquill most likely brought her there after the incident. In addition, it's unknown where Miss Cykes was at the estimated time of death. Miss Cykes was too confused by the shock of her mother's death to give proper testimony, and there was no witness or evidence to tell us where she might have been. So what you're saying is Miss Cykes didn't have an alibi? That is what the evidence is saying, yes.
I understand the reasoning behind the theory, but I'm far from convinced. The victim is the accuser's mother. Are you actually claiming an 11-year-old girl?
Of course, the girl had a very strong motive. Dr. Cykes was a psychologist who wrote many papers about speech and emotions. You're aware of Athena Cykes' special ability, aren't you, Your Honor?
Are you referring to that therapy thing? Yeah, she's done it quite a few times in court.
The ability to read emotions from speech and the subject of her mother's research.
Well, as long as it benefits society, I don't see any particular problem researching it.
I don't like where this is heading. Not one bit. Dr. Cykes was so intent on her research, she forced her daughter to undergo experiments.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, are you seriously suggesting?
I've done my best to be delicate, but even you can't deny it to be true, Mr. Wright. No longer able to withstand the anguish of the experiments, Miss Cykes felt her only choice was to kill her own mother. Ah!
Order! Order in the court! What a tragic story. I hardly want to believe it myself. But we must proceed. Mr. Wright, if you could. Detective Fulbright, please refer to the notes.
But I'm pressing someone with paper in their hand. What use is that actually gonna have? It's not like they can tell me more of what Aura's thinking. Oh, maybe the robot's speaking for her, actually, when I think about it. Simon isn't the murderer. He was trying to cover for someone.
Hold it!
Was he? So, Prosecutor Blackquill willingly accepted a death sentence to protect someone else? Yes! That is precisely what Miss Blackquill appears to believe. And that is what I believe as well. Prosecutor Blackquill is no murderer, Mr. Wright. But Athena Cykes certainly didn't kill anyone either, Mr. Edgeworth. So it appears neither of us can afford to go easy on the other. Fine, I expected no less.
Oh, I remember this tense atmosphere. It's so invigorating.
I'm only reading notes here, but yeah, I feel extra invigorated too. So let's keep going. This is the thing, he's only reading notes. Someone else was at the scene at the time they see Simon committed the murder. Well, this is something that I shouldn't be doubting, really.
Hold it!
But that's just speculation. But we're going to use that, aren't we? No, Miss Blackquill has proper grounds for her claims.
Objection!
Then why didn't you say so in the first place?
Objection!
You're the one who screamed, "Hold it," and cut me off. Fine, so maybe I jumped the gun by a teeny weeny bit. Ha 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 ha! I'm sorry, I'm completely thrown now by the sound of Edgeworth's objection. Doesn't that sound way deeper than his voice was in the cutscenes? I know I'm not doing a good facsimile of his voice in the cutscenes, but still, that's a bit far apart. Now I know what they mean when they say close enough to argue. Moving on. Exactly, there's nothing he can add. I mean, if he really was out to steal that moon rock, then why the rolling case?
Hold it!
This rolling case. I suppose you mean the one that existed in the photo with Prosecutor Blackquill in it. But was absent when the crime scene photos were taken? Yes, that's the one. And Miss Blackquill has drawn a conclusion from these two photos. She has? And what is that conclusion? You're the one with her notes. Oh, right. Of course. Reading them now. So why the rolling case? So of course we can't get off much more, but it just showed us two pictures which we kind of seriously noticed a difference with in terms of which case was missing. So all three cases are there now. And where's the next photo? Where's the crime scene photo? At the afterwards photo. Ah, two photos, there we go. The other photo's here. So now we can see the big one was the one that was taken out. So, that's something. So, what we're looking at is this last statement. The only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Cykes. However, when we went in there, it was implied that both Phoenix and Pearls could get in there together, wasn't it? Which definitely sounds big enough to fit more than one person, so that's what we're going for. But let's press this statement first.
Hold it!
What am I doing with it? And how would you propose he hid a person inside one of those cases? Have you forgotten that we saw just such a thing only the other day? At your own daughter's magic show. She fit a grown person into a small box. Oh yeah. Way to ruin the memory of a good day. A magic show. I wish you would have thought to invite me. Actually, I would have liked to go too. But my apologies. I'll invite you both next time. I promise. So, wait a minute. What were we talking about again? Prosecutor Blackquill was using the case to hide someone. And the only person small enough to fit inside that case was Athena Cykes. So what, am I presenting something here? Or should I just press first? It never hurts to press. I don't know what to present is the problem. It would be the second photo, but whatever. That's nothing more than conjecture, and it's hardly the only possibility. In that case, what do you think Prosecutor Blackquill had in that case? I think it was the moon rock.
Objection!
Objection!
There are three cases at the scene, but Prosecutor Blackquill used the largest one. The moon rock was egg-shaped and only about 8 inches in diameter. It wouldn't have made any sense to use the largest case there just to move that rock.
Objection!
Be that as it may, it doesn't prove Miss Cykes was inside. Let me ask you this. Can you come up with a better theory of what was in the case?
Well, Mr. Wright, can you?
Yikes. Give a guy some time to think. Let's see. Should I try to bluff my way through what could have been in that case? Okay, this is the only, thing that I'm pretty sure we're going for here. So let's bluff it. Because that's the Phoenix Wright way, right? I know exactly what Prosecutor Blackquill carried from the scene. I just have to find something else that was missing, right? No sweat.
Oh, it'd be very interesting hearing your theory. If it's true, that is.
Right, something else that's missing. Should I look at the photos relatively fast here? So... Right. This is one picture. There's blood on that thing there as well. That's been completely wrapped up. So that's kind of interesting. Why is there blood on that thing there? Okay. That thing is missing in the second photo too. So if we're going with something like that, will that be a thing? better check it before it tries to get me to present it, so I could just check with making sure I'm not pressing anything.
I'd be very interested in hearing your theory, if it's true that is.
This is a crime scene photo taken after Prosecutor Blackquill left, correct? What we have to do is compare this with this photo of Prosecutor Blackquill to see what's missing. If he took something with him, then it should be in one of these photos. Well, he actually literally told me that straight out. Lady Luck, don't fail me now.
Alright then, Mr. Wright, let us hear your theory. What did Prosecutor Blackquill take from the scene of the murder?
Right, well, we know already. We've done the deduction. It seems to be this. Please notice that there is a robot part on top of the cart in this photo. However, in this photo taken after the crime, the robot part is gone. In other words, this part is something that was taken from the scene of the crime.
You two appear to be right. I don't see it in the second picture.
But it's just a piece of junk. How important could it be? Is it really just an insignificant robot part? Speaking of which...
What are you looking at? I'm gonna start charging for each glance per eyeball.
Stingy, stingy. What happened to the age of free previews? Your Honor, about this robot part. Doesn't it look like it could be an arm for that robot there?
Well, now that you mention it, it does, doesn't it? But the case is still too big to be practical for just the moon rock on the robot arm.
But was it really just the one arm that was in there? If it wasn't Athena in the case, then maybe... I believe there was another robot at the scene that looks just like the one here. Your Honor, it is the defense's assertion that it was this other robot that was in the case.
What?
Okay.
Objection!
We can't be certain that part belonged to a robot. Yes, it looks like the arm of the one before us, but it could be something else entirely. Besides, it's wrapped entirely in bandaging, making it difficult to verify what it is.
Objection!
I know for a fact that it is a robot arm. I can even tell which robot it belonged to, just by looking at it. With this information, we can investigate whether it was there at the time or not.
But Mr. Wright, I thought you were more of the technologically illiterate type. When did you become such an expert? I feel somehow abandoned.
Not to worry, Runner. I still know next to nothing about machines. But I know this piece of evidence proves which robot the arm belonged to. Okay. We need something that shows a robot, specifically. Okay, there we go. Ah, the arm! The arm's bandaged up in the thing. Athena bandages the things. It's definitely this. Right, it's this photo because the bandaged arm is present. So let's present.
Take that!
The robot in this picture is named Ponko. But take a look at Ponko's arm. It was Miss Cykes who bandaged it up like that.
She must have thought the machines heal in the same way that people do. What an adorable, naive mistake. It reminds me of my own grandchild.
The robot arm at the crime scene had the same bandaging wrapped around it. In other words, this robot arm could belong to none other than Ponko.
Order in the court. Order, I say. Prosecutor Edgeworth, what do you have to say to this?
I can see that the robot is about the same size as a child, but it cannot grab its knees and curl itself up into a ball. Even if it was the largest of the cases, the robot couldn't have possibly fit in there. The case does come up to about mid-thigh on Prosecutor Blackquill. I see your point.
The robot is much taller than that.
They've got me there. Just dismantling it. So then, did Prosecutor Blackquill make Ponko fit into the case by, dismantling her, of course. Compacting would work. Of course Ponko would fit. All Prosecutor Blackquill had to do was dismantle her. Once taken apart, the robot could have easily fit inside that rolling case. It appears to be a robot assembly device. Disassemble anything in a flash. Push the dismantle button. That sounds pretty neat. Can I push it, Mr. Nick?
It sounds rather violent, but Mr. Wright does have a point there.
Objection!
Except that there was a body on the table where robots are dismantled and assembled. There would have been no room to take the robot apart.
Objection!
But what if it wasn't done on the table? What if the katana was used instead?
You mean the sword?
Yes, Your Honor. Miss Blackquill, I'd like your opinion as a woman of science. Isn't it true that the katana could have been used to take the robot apart?
I suppose so. Their joints aren't made of a very tough material. A blade could slice through them.
Thank you for your expert opinion, Miss Blackquill. Thanks to you, we now know that the existence of the severed arm in this photo proves that Ponko was taken apart. In addition, since the rest of Ponko was not found at the scene, we can conclude that the true meaning of this photo is very different from the original interpretation.
You can't mean.
That's exactly what I mean. This photo does not capture the moment of the murder. It is instead a picture of the moment after the robot was sliced apart. The blood you see where the arm was cut off was transferred there by the bloody katana. Most likely, the rest of Ponko is scattered around Prosecutor Blackwell's feet.
Not hearing this.
Therefore, what was transported inside that case was not the defendant, but a robot. Miss Cykes never was at the scene at the time of the murder.
My head, my body, where am I? Ah!
Order in the court.
It's true that Ponko was found in pieces after the murder. And I'll admit I repaired her myself afterwards.
So, photo of the crime has been updated in the court record to now say the photo shows Blackwell taking the robot apart. There's a blood stain on the end of the robot's arm. Yes, I'm finally making some progress. Hopefully I've gotten at least one step closer to proving both Athena and Prosecutor Blackwell innocent.
Objection!
Well played, Mr. Wright. You've made your point abundantly clear. I can see that it wasn't the defendant inside the rolling case, but the robot. Alright. What's going on here? It's never good when he plays things this straight.
Does the prosecution withdraw its claim that the defendant was carried from the scene?
No, Your Honor. My claim hasn't changed.
Objection!
But Ponko and Miss Cykes couldn't have both been inside that case.
Objection!
The notion that the case was used to carry Miss Cykes was Miss Blackwell's theory. I have been of a different opinion from the outset. Now I finally have the opportunity to voice my theory. Thanks to the defense. Edgeworth. He's been one step ahead of me this whole time.
In that case, how do you propose the defendant left the crime scene?
Simple. The footage only shows Prosecutor Blackwell from behind. What's more, he's holding his arm in front of his body, as if he were holding something or someone. That's hardly evidence. I have proof. The surcoat Prosecutor Blackwell was wearing. The victim's blood was found on the front of it, and the stain had a highly distinctive shape.
A blood stain with a distinctive shape. Please continue, Prosecutor Edgeworth.
7 years ago, the defendant was known to constantly wear a certain item, of which there is only one in the world, a special pair of headphones made just for her. She always wore these big heavy-looking headphones. She said her mother made them for her as part of her research. Analysis showed the bloodstain to be in the exact same shape as these headphones. In other words, this was no mere blood splatter. The blood went from the victim's body to the headphones and then was imprinted onto Prosecutor Blackwell's coat like a stamp.
A most gruesome stamp indeed.
Blacquill carried Miss Cykes, who had been hit by splatter, away from the crime scene. This proves that Athena Cykes was, without question, present at the crime scene. And that concludes the prosecution's argument.
Ah! Order! If the defendant was indeed at the scene, it deepens the suspicion against her.
Objection!
We've also shown that the robot was there at the scene as well.
Objection!
I hope you're not making the ridiculous claim that a simple robot was the real murderer. I don't really think that, no, but can't say the possibility isn't there. Detective Fulbright, was the robot questioned at the time? Well, you'd expect a robot not to have been questioned, no, but we'll continue this line of questioning next episode on Dual Destinies, where Edgeworth's objection keeps throwing me quite a bit. It sounds like one of the guys from South Park or something do it. It sounds like it sounds so weirdly filtered. I can never remember his voice being like that, but it is now when he shouts out loud. And with that, we'll hear him shout more next time on Dual Destinies. Join me then. Bye bye.